You talked about Oregon. Interesting case in Oregon, because we could talk probably for another hour just about insurance companies and the pressures that they are placing on patients, physicians, the whole system. In Oregon, a woman who was seeking a treatment for her cancer and petitioned her insurance company got back a letter saying whether this was going to fly or not. And the letter said, your request for this treatment has been denied, but you could go for physician-assisted suicide. You know, I think it's a slippery slope here. I think you know, and I forget your name, but forgive me. Has mentioned a couple times, you know, Dr. Brown doesn't have control over when, or has trying to have control over when you die. I don't know if you think of your doctors as you're sitting here, but I can't imagine a primary care doctor that's trying to control when we die. I think most of us went into this to help people. I think we're trying to heal. You know, we'll fail 100% of the time, right? We're all going to die. But it's the process of living, and it's the process even of dying sometimes, that can be some of the richest parts of life for the person and for their families. Going into medicine, I did not join up for the business of death. I think that is the antithesis of what a physician should be doing. Was that 30 seconds? Oh.
Keep going.
Okay. I think, there's little things like 1,000 prescriptions, only 600 were used. That's supposed to be good. Like, where are the other 400? Nobody knows. Doesn't have to be reported where they are. I don't know. The idea of someone dying alone, and did you hear it could take 2-3 hours? You know, I can't imagine that we think this is compassionate, that this is death with dignity.
Dr. Spitz.
Yeah, well, I'm very happy you mentioned the case in Oregon, because in fact it's one of our favorites as well. And the Department of Public Health in Oregon has since sanctioned that insurance company. But let me clarify that case a little. The person just wasn't requesting treatment or chemotherapy for their cancer. This is a person with an advanced state of cancer who had been through 3 different courses of treatment, which had all been paid for by the Oregon Health Plan. And she was then asking to have yet a third experimental form of treatment that had very little probability of being successful. And the insurance company would have denied it one way or the other, whether or not the death with dignity law was in place. They would not have provided her with coverage for that cancer. And it was, I would agree, it was very, untactful for them to suggest instead that they might want to use the death with dignity law. That's not their decision to make either. It's not up to them to say. And one of the things that Dr. Brown mentioned is that death is sort of the antithesis of why she went into medicine. I would agree, but death is part of the living process. It's one of the things that I came very close to doing when I had this accident and found myself in hospital. And I have to tell you that my physicians, the doctors who took care of me, escorted me through that tunnel. And why should it be that doctors should not participate in the dying process? In fact, we have a whole group of doctors who do. And those doctors know that sometimes they don't have a prescription that helps the person to live long. And I'll stop there instead of telling some inappropriate humor that was online already about doctors and caskets. Please do.
No, we'll tell you after.
All right. Dr. Brown.
So, I don't think that death is the antithesis of what I do as a physician. I think that causing death is the antithesis of why I went into medicine. I think there's a big difference. I think if you go into medicine, you're accepting, compassion, the literal, it means suffering with. And I think true compassion is joining in with that patient, with their family. So I think in many ways, physicians are are very much an entire, from life to death. That's our job. We want to meet you there and help you at whatever stage you are. But causing death is not part of being a physician, I think. And I think, you said that you don't really see the difference between refusing treatment and assisting someone in dying, prescribing a pill of death. I think that those two things are worlds apart. I think in modern medicine we have so many different options, which is terrific. But I talk with patients all the time, my job is to sort of help you understand what all of your options are here as far as treatment or no treatment, pain control. To me, that's totally different than me sitting there and prescribing something to end their life.
Dr. Speaks.
I agree completely that you physicians shouldn't be causing people's death. But if under this law you write a prescription for the person, you're not causing their death. Their illness is causing their death. They're dying anyway. This is not a suicide. This is just hastening the inevitable at a time when the patient can, in fact, celebrate their lives. The New York Times did a very wonderful series about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that I think is still available through their website, in which an individual took advantage of this law in Oregon and had a party. They decided that they could no longer deal with the pain that and the limitations they had, and they had all their friends over their house. They drank champagne. She went into the bedroom with the company of her daughter and her son, who held her hand after she took her medication, and she took the medication, went to sleep, and never woke up. The physician who wrote that prescription didn't cause her death. The patient did. The illness did, rather. The patient just chose the time and manner in which they were going to die. And that, I think, to me, is in fact an important part of what we do as healthcare professionals, is to help people comfortably deal with their choices.
Okay. I'm sure that there has been